Good afternoon and welcome to your 4 to 5. I'm Maddie Gardner here with Tahesha Moise. Of course, we are here to inform you, make you feel connected, and let you into our world. We are live right now on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Use our hashtag 4 to 5 to stay connected. Well, strong storms are passing through Greensboro right now. Check out this video from the Lake Jeanette area. You can see rain is just coming down in sheets. Chief Meteorologist Tim Buckley is here today. So, Tim, for folks in Greensboro, how long should they expect those storms to stick around?
Maddie, if you're in Greensboro proper, the worst of the storm is kind of over. I want to show you this video. This is going to be going back to 2:45, so just about an hour and 15 minutes. But watch the sky. See all these clouds just forming, and whoosh, there it is, that wall of water. And indeed, there is tons of lightning with this as well. So a lot of different things that we're tracking. Here's the latest radar right now. We're over Guilford County and, of course, looking over toward Alamance County, too. A lot of heavy rain and very frequent lightning. I'll tell you firsthand, there's some rough lightning out there. I saw it on the roadways. Here it is. We're down in Jamestown now, the Adams Farm community near the Grandover. This is kind of the roughest part of the storm right now. You're going to be seeing a lot of gusty winds, possibly to the 60-mile-per-hour notch. But we're really looking at a lot of rain and lightning. This is kind of what this storm has been doing. In downtown, still coming down very heavily, but it is moving off to the east. So that warning really going to be going for eastern Guilford and then Alamance County. You can see they're just trimming it right now, actually. So if you're in Gibsonville, you're in Graham, you're in Burlington, these areas, this storm is headed your way, but not in a hurry. So it'll take a little bit longer to get over there, not till about 4:30 or so. If we look at it 3D, it's about 30 to 40,000 feet tall. That tells me it's packing a good punch right now. In fact, farther out to the west, more storms are forming. This is in western Forsyth County, also in Davie County. A lot of heavy rain and lightning headed your way as well. Up in Rockingham, a little bit lighter except for this chunk just to the north of Madison. You put it all together, we have several storms over the next few hours. We'll have frequent radar checks throughout the newscast.
Well, new at 4 o'clock, the Alamance Burlington school system will start the year with remote learning. The school board voted 6-1 this morning to start the year online. This decision means the first 9 weeks of school will be online for students, and right now they plan to end that on October 23rd. After that, the plan is to move to Plan B. That's a mixture of online and in-person learning. School officials say they're going to keep an eye on key health metrics as that deadline approaches, and the date to move to Plan B could change. The school board says they are expecting some new guidelines from the CDC by the end of this month. Now, if you need technology from the school, like a hotspot or a Chromebook, they'll let you know when you can stop by and pick that up. Elementary school teachers say they will use Google Classroom for online learning, and then middle and high school teachers are going to use Canvas. Athletics and extracurricular activities are postponed until further notice. The Alamance Burlington Early College will start online learning on August 5th, and they plan to end that on October 8th. Meanwhile, the Davidson County School District announced its plans today. Schools there are going to operate under Plan B. So that means students will go through 1 week of orientation. That starts on August 17th. The kids will stop by the school one day during that first week to pick up any supplies they might need, meet their teachers, and learn some new safety rules. Then students will learn from home for 3 weeks. On September 14th, schools will start an A-B day schedule. Students will go to school for 2 days a week and study online for 2 days a week. On Fridays, students will alternate going back to school.
Now, we've covered what other school systems in the Triad are doing. If you need that information, you can go to our Back to School blog on WFMYnews2.com, or we can make it easy for you by just texting us. Text the word school to 336-379-5775, and we'll send you everything you need to know for the upcoming school year. In the meantime, health experts are concerned about an increase in coronavirus hospitalizations and positive cases here in North Carolina. Positive coronavirus cases have now exceeded 100,000. And while health experts say those numbers are slightly down in Forsyth and Guilford counties, there are concerns about new clusters of infection. Experts say they are happening among family groups because people are not social distancing or wearing masks. A new area of concern now, with public schools opting for remote learning in the fall, is virtual or homeschool pods. Infectious disease experts urge parents and educators to follow CDC guidelines for schools.
You should be doing the exact same thing in your home or in your church basement or your community center or wherever you're trying to provide education for kids, be it online or in person or however you're doing it.
Those guidelines include frequent cleaning and disinfection, using hand sanitizer and washing hands frequently. Also key to keeping infection down, according to Dr. Uhl, is social distancing and wearing masks.
Well, let's get to your 4 to 5 roundup this afternoon. The House voted to remove Confederate statues from the Capitol building. Now the bill will head to the Senate, where its future is uncertain. If this is passed, it will direct the architect of the Capitol to remove statues of all individuals who voluntarily served the Confederate States of America. The monuments will be held in storage until they're returned to their original owner. This bill would also remove the bust of former Chief Justice Roger Taney, who wrote the 1857 Dred Scott Supreme Court decision that said black people could not be American citizens. Well, the mayor of Portland, Oregon was tear gassed by U.S. federal government officials during another night of protest. Demonstrators clashed once again with federal agents sent by the president to squash unrest in the city. The protests are against police brutality and in support of racial justice. Mayor Ted Wheeler says it's the first time he's ever been tear gassed, but reports say he did not leave his spot at the front of those demonstrations and continued to be hit with the gas. It's not clear if those federal agents knew that Mayor Wheeler was in the crowd. After weeks of uncertainty, D.C.'s NFL team says they will now be called the Washington Football Team, effective immediately. The team says it's not a final renaming or rebranding, but they'll use that name until a new one is adopted. ESPN's Adam Schefter says Washington will not change its color scheme. Those uniforms will remain burgundy and gold, and the helmet will bear the player's number instead of the old team logo. The number of coronavirus-related hospitalizations in North Carolina is staying steady. Today's data ties yesterday's record. Let's take a closer look at the numbers for today. There are more than 1,100 people in the hospital with coronavirus. That's with 94% of our hospitals reporting. The state has recorded nearly 1,900 new cases in the last 24 hours. The percentage of positive tests is holding at 9%, and that's a good sign. It shows a drop from Monday's 10% positive. Dr. Mandy Cohen says in order for our state to move forward with reopening, that percentage needs to drop to 5% or below.
Now, over the last month, of course, those tests across the state have fluctuated. We've gotten between 18,000 and 31,000 done, depending on the day. And the average of those, 7 to 10% of those are coming back positive. Now, viewer Cheryl Williams from Elon asks how many of these tests are actually by the same person. She explains she has a friend who received multiple tests. 3 of them were positive, but from only 1 case of the virus. Are all 3 positive tests counted as new cases? Well, the answer to that question, Cheryl, is no. To verify, we checked with the CDC and the North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services Communications Representative Kelly Connor. Other sources includes Communications Rep Kelly Acento from LabCorp. Now, the CDC explains the number of positive tests in a state is not equal to the number of cases because a person might be tested more than once. The CDC reports more than 4.6 million positive tests nationwide, but only 3.8 million positive cases. That means nearly 1 million positive tests are repeat tests from the same people. North Carolina DHHS Communications Representative Kelly Connor explained that's why North Carolina counts a positive case only once, no matter how many positive tests that person gets. So the case count will always be lower than the test count. Now, the LabCorp rep said LabCorp also counts each repeat test separately and gives that information to healthcare providers and also public health agencies across the state. And a patient also can see the results of each separate test. More of the 4 to 5 will continue when we come back.
Welcome back to your 4 to 5. Black-owned businesses are getting a boost from Black Lives Matter protests. A Yelp economic average report says there have been more than 2 million searches for black-owned businesses from May until June. Now, the same time last year, that number was only 35,000. Yelp reports that black-owned boutiques, coffee shops, and doctors are among the highest searched. The report adds a large reason for the boost was July's Blackout Day. You'll remember that was a day to either shop at only black-owned businesses or not to shop at all, to show the power of the black dollar.
And if you're looking to visit a black-owned restaurant, one North Carolina man is making it easier. He created an online directory called Black Menu NC, and one Triad business is already seeing a boom because of it.
I was doing a little research online for black businesses, and actually I couldn't find anything that just stuck out.
Following protests and calls for racial equality, Victor Waddell wanted to support black businesses, but when he couldn't find a list, he made one himself.
So I decided to build my own website showcasing black restaurant owners.
Waddell created Black Menu NC about a month ago. It currently has just under 200 restaurants listed from the Triad and beyond.
And we're constantly adding them every day.
Anyone can send information about a black-owned restaurant to Waddell by hitting the Submit a Listing button on the website. It's free to list, although a restaurant can pay extra to be a featured listing.
It's a blessing. It's a blessing.
Nezia Martin owns the New Summit Cafe in Greensboro. She says someone listed her restaurant on the site, and she found out after a friend sent her the link a few weeks ago.
And they said, look at the link. And instantly, I knew then. And I said, whoever this is that did this, I know we're not supposed to hug, but I want to give them a big hug.
Since then, Martin says she's seen a significant increase in business.
I would say about 25% of the business now is from the people who've seen that ad. And they have been coming in, calling, wondering, asking about our times.
Right now, restaurants are listed from 8 cities across the state, including Greensboro and Winston-Salem in the Triad, but the plan is to expand.
And I'm working on adding some of the smaller cities, and I just want it to be a tool to use if you want to support black business.
Now, Waddell says that he is also working on an app that would be called Black Menu NC that will be available in Google Play and the Apple Store. He hopes to have that complete within the next 30 to 60 days, Maddie. So he said, you know, there was a need here and let me fill that need. And the great thing about this is the community can really get involved in this and start submitting restaurants that they know of to this website for free.
Yeah, that user-generated content. Dahacia, a couple of months ago, it was popular on social media to post pictures of black-owned businesses, especially restaurants, and I saw a couple from Greensboro, but to have this all in one place, it's easy to find, it's easy to search through, and then it links you directly to that restaurant. I feel like it's going to be great for the business community.
Right, and you mentioned those Facebook groups. After this show, I'm actually going to link this story in those groups so that people in them are aware that there is this resource out there. So I want to be able to share that with everyone. Now, you know, we do have a list of black-owned businesses actually on our website that we've compiled from some in the area here. So if you want to check that out, all you have to do is head over to WFMYnews2.com.
Welcome back to your 4 to 5. A new High Point University poll says most North Carolina voters cannot work from home. 58% of people say working from home is not a feasible option for them. 36% say if they have to work from home, they can. Now, those polled also seem to feel that their finances will either be better in the next year or stay about the same. 39% say they feel they'll be in a better financial position at this time next year, and 40% said they'll still be in the same boat.
Now, many of us have transformed part of our homes into offices, right? But what about a place to learn for kids while still doing classes online? Well, our sister station in Knoxville explains how one mom picked up on an idea to keep her child focused.
Shane Pullman says her family is not a homeschool family.
Our kids will be going back to school.
But not yet. She is willing to give at-home learning a try this year as COVID cases keep rising.
With the plan that Knox County put out, we were not happy with it. I think it's going to be a little chaotic, and I don't want my kids on the computer from 8 in the morning till 2:30 in the afternoon.
Instead, she's opting to homeschool with a new option a lot of parents are exploring.
We are hoping to hire a teacher and have her come to our house to teach with a couple other students.
This kind of setup is called a learning co-op, cohort, or pod, a small group of students learning together away from the school building.
But they're in a small group and interacting. So I think it's kind of the best of both worlds.
Pullman got her co-op group together through various parent Facebook groups, but a similar option will be available through the Muse Knoxville.
K through 5 students that are enrolled in Knox County Schools virtual option. So effectively, we are there as a supervisor and a support for those students for their school day.
The Muse is still looking for locations to hold its learning pods. It'll have lower costs and scholarship options and hopes to have registration open next week as parents work to find the best option for their kids.
Until we get settled into a routine, I will still be stressed.
Very interesting to see how things are done in other states, right? Maybe gives you an idea. How are you hoping your kids will learn? Has a decision been made for your school district? Let us know in the comments. We'll be right back.
We're going to kick things off with Pat Woods, who says, no mask, it's too hot and humid. Social distance for now. Gene says, surprised they haven't said you have to wear a mask to watch them on TV.
Welcome back to your 4 to 5. The NFL says if you want to go to a game this season, you'll have to wear a mask. This rule applies to the entire league and there are no exceptions. The NFL has yet to confirm if fans will even be allowed in stadiums for games just yet, and it could depend on local and state rules. So digital guru Brian Bennett joins us. Brian, what are people saying about this online?
Oh yeah, Maddie, they're saying a lot. That's one of the reasons why I love our commenters and viewers so much. They never shy away from saying what they are thinking. So let's jump right in and go to Pat Woods, who says no mask, is too hot and humid, social distance for now. Moving right along to Gene, who says, surprised they haven't said you have to wear a mask to watch them on TV. Kind of funny. David says, yes, they should be wearing masks if they are going to be attending the games. Tim Wright says, there shouldn't be any fans in the stands. If the NFL wasn't run by fools, there wouldn't be players on the field either. Lastly, Jonas says, why is this a question? If you can't have kids in school for education, no one needs to be watching a football game. A lot of valid points. Me personally, I think there should be no fans in the stands this year, simply because it is a win-win for everybody involved. People that don't want to wear masks, listen, you don't have to wear your mask in the safety of your own home. People that are for wearing masks out in the stands, guess what? You don't have to do that from your own home. Also, a football game is usually what, like 3 hours, a little bit over 3 hours. If you really think somebody's going to wear a mask for that long, I don't think or see that happening. So that's just my take.
Yeah, thanks, Brian. I will be very surprised if NFL games have fans in the stands this year. But if they do, it seems like they're going to have to wear a mask, Tahisha.
Right, and you think about where the states are where these games are going to be played. Many of the states would have a policy in place already statewide, or maybe in that county or city, that they would have to anyways, regardless of the NFL. So I think they are just coming out here and trying to get ahead of it and saying, hey, if we do play a game and if we do allow fans, you're going to have to wear a mask.
All right, Tim Buckley, I just got an alert on my phone that says we have some kind of warning. What's going on?
That's right. It says stay off the roads is what it should say. Flash flood warning and now for a good chunk of the Triad, and I'll show you why in just a second. First off, Greensboro looking a little better, right? That storm very nasty at the top of the hour. It's starting to move east. Winston-Salem, though, you're getting round 2 here. Kind of difficult to see over the skyline, but that rain really is pounding. And here's the wide view. There's storm number 1 that's moving into Alamance County now. So Burlington, get ready. It's also moving south. So look at this. This is the strongest one on the board now in Davidson County. Lots of lightning and rain. And that's why there's this flood warning now for most of the Triad. We've already seen a good amount of rain. Lots more is on the way. So if we zoom in, there's your storm for Alamance. This is pushing your way, getting closer to Burlington, then Graham and Mebane. Over the next 20 minutes, it's not as strong as before, no longer severe. For Scythe County, Davidson County, this is really the strongest storm just to the west of Lexington, Tyro and Welcome. A lot of heavy rain and nearly constant blinding lightning. So please stay inside until it passes. And again, flood warning until 7:30 because of the roads can't handle all of that water. We'll keep an eye on the radar for you. All of this weather is going to continue for several days. More storms tomorrow and more heat too. We're back right after this. You're watching the 4 to 5.
Well, good afternoon. Welcome back to your 4 to 5. I'm Maddie Gardner. Tahesha Moise is also joining us today, working from home once again. Of course, we are here to inform you, make you feel connected, and let you into our world. Join our conversation. Just use our hashtag 4 to 5. We are live right now on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Well, let's start out with your 4 to 5 roundup this afternoon. It is the day that many sports fans have waited for, opening day. Baseball is back, but of course it will look much different. A 60-game season, stars opting out, ballparks without fans, players wearing masks, piped-in sound effects, and cardboard cutouts for fans. Yeah, folks, it's MLB during a pandemic. The Nationals will take on the Yankees with Dr. Anthony Fauci throwing out tonight's first pitch. Well, Triad baseball may not be returning, but that's left plenty of time for crews to spruce up the ballparks. New signs went up at Truist Point and High Point. The former BB&T Point was renamed. Gate signs are being traded out today, and tomorrow the exterior signs will switch. Tokyo marked 1 year to go until the Olympics for a second time around today. The games were due to begin tomorrow with an extravagant opening ceremony in the newly built National Stadium. Of course, they are delayed because of the global pandemic. The Olympic Committee is now considering several options to simplify the games next year should they go on. And a Rockingham County student received a very big honor. Gabe Capel of McMichael High School is the 2020 Gildan Scholar Athlete of the Year. The award goes to a graduating senior who played at least 2 sports and maintained a 3.5 GPA, among other requirements. Capel is going to UNC Chapel Hill in the fall, so go Heels and go Gabe.
The White House is holding off on plans to cut Social Security payroll taxes. That would be part of that $1 trillion coronavirus rescue package negotiation that's happening right now. Well, Republicans are expected to reveal the bill sometime today, but that was delayed after Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell held an unscheduled meeting with Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin. Mnuchin says the president is pushing for a payroll tax cut, but McConnell and other Republicans want to see another round of stimulus checks go out to Americans.
The president's priority for the moment is to get money into Americans quickly. And one of the problems with the payroll tax cut is it takes time. So we are much more focused right now on the direct payments.
Mnuchin says the agreement reached on how much those payments to Americans will be, but he did not share any details. Right now, there is no new money for states or cities, but they will be able to access existing aid. Republicans are also proposing $105 billion to reopen schools and $15 billion so that child care centers can create safe environments. In the meantime, there is another aspect in this second stimulus bill of unemployment benefits. Republicans are proposing an extension of federal benefits, which started in March through the end of this year. However, that amount of the extra benefit would drop from the current $600 to $100 in federal funds because those benefits expire tomorrow. Republicans are still debating on the proposal, but they do not want benefits to be an excuse for people to not go back to work.
Well, I asked you on Facebook if you liked the idea of a second stimulus payment, and you responded. We'll take a look at a few of your comments now. Thomas Dort said it would certainly be helpful for those of us who continue to be impacted by phased openings. An extension to the CARES eviction protections would also be helpful. Michael said, no, that might sound mean, but is our government going to have to keep on paying out and paying out? That can't happen. Sharon Dale said, would rather all businesses open back up. Bucky Pack said, if families really need it, I'm for it. But if it's to go have your nails done and blow it on non-essential items, then no, I'm not for it. Brooke says, I'm still waiting for my first stimulus check, so I'm indifferent, I suppose. Yeah, many people actually still waiting on those first stimulus checks. Your best bet there is to go to irs.gov and click the Get My Payment button there on the homepage, and it should be able to help you out with that.
Right, and I know we were talking about unemployment, and my heart goes out to the people because I know there are still people that have signed up for unemployment benefits, right, hoping to get that extra $600, not even including the stimulus check, and they're still fighting for that money. And then now to hear that those extra unemployment benefits are coming to an end at the end of the week, Maddie, there are a lot of people struggling out there that could use a couple extra dollars here and there.
Yeah, this is certainly a big story. Of course, we're going to stay on top of it for you. A lot of different proposals, a lot of different ideas about what that second round of stimulus payments could look like and new requirements as well.
The number of coronavirus-related hospitalizations here in North Carolina are staying steady. Yesterday's data tying with today's record. So let's take a look at the numbers. There are currently over 1,100 people in the hospital right now. That's with 94% of hospitals reporting. The state has nearly 1,900 new cases in the last 24 hours, and of all those tests, 9% of those are coming back positive. Now, this is a good sign, showing a drop from Monday's 10% of positive tests. Dr. Mandy Cohen says, though, in order for the state to move forward with reopening, we are still in phase 2, that percentage must drop to 5% or below. In the meantime, free coronavirus testing continues tomorrow at the Griffin Recreation Center in Greensboro. That will be from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. You are asked to wear a mask. This will be an indoor testing event. Walk-ins are welcome, but it may take you longer to get a test if you choose to do so that way. You can schedule an appointment by calling the Guilford County Health Department. You will have to go through a confidential pre-screening process before getting an appointment.
And in Burlington, the city is handing out free masks if you need one. That giveaway starts tomorrow and will run through Tuesday while supplies last. Tomorrow's handout, though, is from 11 until 1. Everyone who goes to the event will get 2 masks, and you can also request a second pack of masks for a family member or a friend who can't come by and get their own.
Voted unanimously to keep a grooming policy in place. Now, that policy gained national attention after 2 black students were told they couldn't go to school unless they cut their dreadlocks. DeAndre Arnold, one of those students, was suspended in January for refusing to cut his hair. Now, the American Civil Liberties Union argued the hair policy was racist and discriminatory because white students in the school have long hair. They said they showed about 200 photos of proof showing that. Now, the school district has not responded for comment. Now, I wanted to reach out to you, my Facebook followers here, to see what your thoughts on the decision was to keep this controversial policy in place. Let's get a look at some of your comments. Michelle says, it is in fact discrimination and is not okay. Eurocentric standards of beauty in itself is discrimination because it excludes people of color with different hair texture, which a lot of them require chemical alteration to achieve. Locks are also a part of some religious and cultural beliefs and should be protected as much as any other religion or cultural practice is. April Rayner says, I need the school board to explain how their hair impacts their education or anyone else in the school. Joe Debbie Howlett says, I'm wondering if a mohawk haircut or pigtails are against the policy. April says, how does this impact their or other students' education? And Heather Matthews says, I see no issue at all with how a child chooses to do their hair. What I do have a problem with is a school telling any parent how a child can do their hair. Stand strong, students and parents. Today it's hair, tomorrow it might be something bigger. I am not in favor of this hair policy. I mean, you're talking about the way hair grows out of someone's head. It was just last year and into this year, different states enacting the Crown Act so that people wouldn't get discriminated against because of their hair in employment. But for schools, I mean, if other students are wearing their hair in a way that covers their ear, touches their neck, then they weren't getting discriminated against. I don't know. The policy changed in the middle of the school year, and that was what the ACLU had a big issue with, Maddie.
I understand. Yeah, Tasia, you mentioned the 9 states have that in place, and that makes it so people can't be discriminated against on their natural hairstyles. But this was a private school, and that's why this is allowed here. They can tell people how to wear their hair, and Texas actually does not have the Crown Act in place currently. So you can find a list of states that do.
Gotta keep you posted on the weather. The radar very busy this afternoon. We mentioned yesterday, probably going to be a more active day, and well, it's even more active than I would have expected it to be. Let's take a look right now on the wide view. First things first, there is a flash flood warning now for Davidson, Forsyth, and Guilford counties. Why? Well, we've already had some storms move through and more are forming, going to move over the same areas. Right now, everything in Guilford pretty calm, just some moderate rain right now. Over in Alamance, some steady and heavy rain at times. Lightning has slacked off and that storm overall is weakening though, so it's not severe. It is though still a storm. Forsyth County, plenty of heavy rain for you, but most of the nastiest weather is over Davidson County. You know it too. Arcadia, Lexington, welcome. Yeah, it's pretty rough here. Look at all these lightning strikes. Each one of these is a bolt coming from the sky. It's moving your way in Thomasville. This is pushing off to the east. If you're feeling left out in northern Randolph, by the way, that's headed to you. It is moving out to the east. There's Forsyth County, a little bit calmer off to the north in Stokes County. At this time, I don't have any severe thunderstorm warnings for you, but there's a lot of rain and a lot of lightning, and we're going to see that really continuing perhaps as long as 8 to 9 and 10 o'clock tonight. Of course, the usual caveats do apply. They are still hit or miss storms. Not everybody's going to get it, but more than the last several days are certainly getting wet this afternoon. Tomorrow, it's actually more of the same. Mid-70s for the morning, upper 80s to near 90 for the afternoon. But I'll tell you what, a scattered downpour or a storm could pop up at any time on your Friday. That's the best chance of rain that we have in the 7-day forecast.
Well, before we head to break, we want to honor the life of civil rights leader C.T. Vivian. Reverend C.T. Vivian was laid to rest today after he passed away on Friday at the age of 95. He was a close ally of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Vivian started organizing sit-ins in Illinois in the 1940s. He also organized freedom rides across the South to fight segregation. The Reverend was honored by President Barack Obama with the Presidential Medal of Freedom back in 2013. Vivian was a Baptist minister and the leader of the Southern Christian Leadership. Yes, ma'am. Hey, mic check, mic check. Maddie doing a mic check. Let me walk around just to see. Oh, it's a little staticky. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It's not hitting anything, Angela. Yep, I will walk over here and see if that makes a difference. 1, 2, 3. Mic check, mic check. Let me know what you're hearing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Doing a mic check. Welcome back to your 4 to 5. A rabid fox got into a house in Greensboro and bit somebody inside. Guilford County says the fox got in through a doggy door at the home on Pine Bur Court. The person who was bit is already going through a rabies treatment. This is the 8th case of animal rabies in Guilford County this year.
So you know that show on Netflix, right? They have the competition baking shows. Well, there's apparently a competition like that happening right here in the Triad. WFMY News 2's photojournalist Manning Frank spoke to the organizers of this tasty contest. Take a look.
Hey everyone, thanks for joining us. Today, we're gonna learn to make a delicious chocolate cake.
Cake Wars, the show, I guess, has inspired it a little bit. I have seen this somewhere else on another Facebook page, like in Ohio somewhere, and thought, hey, this is really cool. Let's see how we can implement this in Greensboro.
Gooey, gooey. It looks like a brownie batter right now.
I have a background of cake decorating, and I took a couple of classes while I was in grad school, and I was like, I can teach some little skill sessions about how to decorate cakes and implement the basics.
So now we're just going to put the final ice on it, make it look really nice and pretty.
It'd be a lot of fun for the residents to have something exciting to do, just a friendly competition. We are really hoping to see in this competition residents battling for the best cake decorator champion in Greensboro. You know, we've all been cooped up inside with COVID, so if we're gonna be cooped up, then at least we can bake some cake, right? Who doesn't love a good cake? You battle till your belly's full, but you're gonna be the one eating your own cakes.
Sounds like a lot of fun. Anyone else hungry? No? All right, it's just me in this room, but maybe you are hungry at home as well. Anyways, more of the 4 to 5 will continue right after this break.
Regarding those cakes, I know a certain newsroom that would be happy to take those cakes off of their hands.
Angela wants to hear my voice. She says, really, Mike, that keeps popping up, because I know it did. I can hear it. It makes me really sad because I don't want my audio to sound bad. That's really annoying to watch. I don't know what's happening today. Mike 3 is not in a Welcome back to your 4 to 5. Severe weather passed over New York City on Wednesday night, and lightning seemingly struck very close to the Statue of Liberty. A Twitter user caught this video while riding a ferry. Now, there's no sign of damage to Lady Liberty. Ellis Island reopened on Tuesday to tourists after it was closed since March because of the coronavirus. Well, Tim, the Triad no stranger to lightning strikes today.
Isn't that amazing video? I love seeing that. And actually, things like the Empire State Building, even buildings in Greensboro, they get hit by lightning all the time. They're kind of built to sustain that damage, and thankfully there was no harm there. We saw plenty of storms earlier in Greensboro, and don't let your guard down. We're not done. There are more coming up quite shortly. I want to show you this. Take a look here. Look at the temperatures. They were in the 90s, now all the way down into the 70s. Of course, Asheboro, you're still hanging tough at 90 because you haven't had storms yet. This is the view over High Point, too. We're starting to see the downpours and lightning start to get a little bit closer. This is round 2 for you. Quiet in Guilford at the moment, but as we zoom in, you'll see this second round now in Davidson County, Forsyth County. A lot of heavy rain, good amount of lightning, and if we zoom in right near Thomasville, this is the worst chunk right now. Tons of lightning here just to the south, right along I-85 here, and this is moving off to the east. So Archdale, yes, it is moving your way. Northern Randolph as well, and there's round 2 pushing into Kernersville, PTI Airport, Colfax, Summerfield, Oak Ridge. You'd be up next also. So we'll be tracking the radar for you several more hours, all the way through about 7 to 8 o'clock tonight. It is possible that flooding could happen. We have a flash flood warning until 7:30. Tomorrow, it is more of the same. Heat, humidity, and scattered downpours or storms, truthfully, at any point throughout the day. More heat, that's not going to go anywhere. We're stuck with it for a long while. Tomorrow is still your best chance of getting wet. I think we'll have drier weather, relatively so, Sunday into Monday, but the heat only getting worse.
Hello everybody, I'm Ed Matthews. It's time for another Science Geek experiment. And our topic today is one of my favorite, evaporation. Let's get started and see what we've got. Evaporation is the process where you take liquid water and you allow it to evaporate or disappear into thin air in the form of a gas, or what we call usually water vapor. And here are the materials that you'll need. You'll need a cup of water, got some water here, and also you'll need a black magic marker. And notice that my water is blue. I put some food coloring in it just so it would be easier to see in the glass. Now, to start the experiment, you want to take a glass and fill it about 3/4 of the way full. And once you get it 3/4 of the way full, make a mark, and note these marks that I have on the front of the glass. The very top one is where I filled the glass when I started the experiment. And you make that mark, that initial mark, and then you just set the glass in a windowsill, preferably in one that gets a lot of sunlight, because that really kind of speeds up the evaporation process. And leave there, well, you can leave it there until all the water evaporates in 3 or 4 weeks. I did my experiment for about 3 weeks, and what you do about every other day, you check it out and you make a new mark. And look at all these marks here where every time I checked the water level, it got a little bit lower in the glass. So what does that tell us? That tells us that the water is disappearing or evaporating, going into the atmosphere in the form of a gas. Let's talk about several different types of evaporation, or things that show evaporation. I've got a wet cloth here. I'm going to rub the table. It'll be wet, but in a few minutes it dries. Evaporation. The ocean, 78% of the world is covered by water. 78%. That's a big reservoir of evaporation. That water evaporates into the atmosphere and eventually forms clouds that produce much needed rainfall around the globe. Try this experiment and see how it turns out for you. And that's a lesson on evaporation.
Coming up on WFMY News 2 at 5 o'clock, many Triad school districts will start the school year with online learning only. A health expert weighs in on what it'll take to get kids back in school in a safe way. That's next on WFMY News 2 at 5.